The violence that flowed from a gathering of mainly Muslim men outside a mosque in Birmingham on the 5th of August 2024, this of course being the 6th day of the riots that sprang from the savage murders of 3 little girls attending a Taylor Swift dance lesson in Southport on the 29th of July 2024, was able to unravel because the police, who had been given prior notice of the gathering, chose not to police it.
It started when hundreds of predominantly Muslim men came out, they said, to protect their mosques after far-right groups were supposedly on their way to the city. But then a rumour that the EDL were inside this pub. Some of the men came to attack it. Denise, who'd been inside, told me how scared she was.
We were in Southport, having a drink, having a laugh with friends, and then before we knew it, everyone was around us.
And did you think they were going to come in and attack you?
They would have done if we'd have allowed it. Very scary. I have never been in a situation where a puppy's been attacked for no reason.
One man was beaten up. Windows were smashed.
If this isn't in itself evidence enough of a racially discriminatory decision from the police, let's listen to an analysis of this decision from a serving police officer.
I'm surprised some haven't kicked back or resigned over this two-tier policing. Do you share that view?
Isabel, I've been fighting with that saying for the past week, but I don't know how you can come to any other conclusion now. I saw last night a superintendent up in West Midlands give an incredible briefing disclosing why they chose not to attend a violent disorder involving a group of Asian males who were chasing journalists, slashing tyres and carrying incredibly dangerous weapons. And that was because they'd had a meeting with community leaders who said everything was okay and there was no need to attend. We haven't seen any other circumstances where that behaviour would be tolerated. So I'm afraid this saying of two-tier policing is gaining traction and the police are not coming up with any strategies to convince us otherwise.
The Macpherson report, which, in view of the outrageously flawed investigation into the 1993 racist murder of 18-year-old black man Stephen Lawrence, deemed the Metropolitan Police institutionally racist, was published in 1999. I have it on very good authority, however, that so-called two-tier policing, where in some cases police fail to adequately investigate criminal allegations relating to ethnic minorities for fear of being accused of racist behaviour, while of course investigating criminal allegations relating to white people without hesitation, was born sometime before then.
Can we discuss two-tier policing and whether it exists or not? What do you think?
Well, at the moment, the statements are that it doesn't exist, but certainly in my 30 odd years in police and time since, I can say that when dealing with certain ethnic minority groups, police do walk on eggshells, they do back off, and they're extremely cautious in how they deal with them. So from my point of view, at a strategic level, it exists. At the operational level, police officers, this is the guys and girls on the street, they get on with the job such as they see it in front of them, but they also do so in the mindset that if they are caught on video in a situation that can be misinterpreted or makes them look bad, especially with an ethnic minority, they know they'll be thrown under the bus. So, of course, there is not an official policy on it, but it has for many years been one of be very cautious or back off or withdraw or don't use excessive or don't use stop and search on certain ethnic minority groups and so on.
At this point, we'll scrap the label two-tier policing and replace it with a simple and arguably more meaningful one: dangerously unreliable policing. Dangerously unreliable policing can, in my opinion, cover racist policing, whether against ethnic minorities or against whites, as well as both police corruption and police incompetence. I think you'd have to be seriously naive to believe that the police systematically behave with caution and gentleness towards members of ethnic minorities. Personally, I remember hearing as a teenager in the 90s of a small but no less highly worrying number of cases of black people dying in police custody. More recently, in October 2023, athlete Ricardo dos Santos and Bianca Williams, a couple, won their claim against 2 Metropolitan Police officers for racial profiling.
Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
In July 2020, the couple were ordered out of their car, which was parked outside their London home and which was where their baby was lying in the back, and then stopped and searched on suspicion of being in possession of drugs and weapons.
Detain section 1, please.
Go through it on. Go through it on. Get out of the car. Go through it on. Give him.
PC Franks, local lane police station.
What reason? What did I do? Bruv, I'm at home, bro. Relax. What are you doing? Bruv, I'm at home, bro. Relax, bro. What the bro? What are you doing, bro? What the you guys doing? My kid's in the car, bro. What the you guys doing? Round the back. What the are you guys doing? Arm! Section 1. Arm! Relax yourself. My arm, bro. Police station. What the you guys doing for what reason?
You've avoided police.
What do you mean I avoided police? You guys don't follow me for what reason?
We've been tasked specifically to...
Oh my God, bro! You lot, bro, I'm outside. I am outside. I got 2 cars, bro. Bro, the thing is tight. Relax the thing, man. Untie the thing.
Once you calm yourself...
Calm, but untie
yourself down there. Bro, stop resisting and calm yourself down.
Who's resisting you?
I'll take your voice down. Until you calm down, calm down like this.
Adam, okay, calm down. No, he's just being detained. He's just being detained for a search.
Touch me, my son.
Okay, madam, calm down. We're going to look after your son.
I don't want
it's okay.
My son is...
Okay, get out the car. We'll look after your son for you. No one's going to be hurt. Just get out the car. You're going to be detained for a search, okay, under Section 1 of PACE. You've made off with police. Get out the car and we don't need to do this. You're detained for a search. I'm PC Simpson from Larkhall Lane TSG base, okay? You're detained in a Section 1 of PACE for a search for weapons.
No drugs or weapons were found either on the couple or in their car, however. In late 2023, 2 of the 5 police officers who performed this stop and search were sacked for gross misconduct: Jonathan Clapham and Sam Franks. The remaining 3 were cleared of all charges. I can offer no information on what led the police to suspect the couple of being in possession of drugs and weapons, but racial profiling has been proven to have been involved. Clapham and Frank's appeal against their dismissal is due to be heard on the 3rd and 4th of October 2024. Yes, they're not taking their sacking lying down. You'd have to be equally naive and gullible to believe that the police never behave with vindictiveness or blatant criminality towards even white people. Danica Stewart, for instance, a white woman, has had first-hand experience of bullying, intimidation and illegal strip searching from the very police.
Right, Danica, the time's 10:42. You're under arrest on suspicion of blackmail.
When Danica formally complained against Greater Manchester Police for failing to adequately investigate a serious allegation that she had made about an individual, they arrested her, strip searched her, and then, on releasing her, warned her to drop her complaint against them.
So why do you think they strip searched you?
It's power, because when I left the police station that day, the sergeant on the desk said to me, you need to drop all your complaints against the police. They needed to show me who was boss.
The Birmingham disturbance of the 5th of August 2024 was by no means the first time that the police have chosen to back away from potential offending coming from Asian men. The Rochdale grooming gangs of mainly Asian men who pimped and prostituted white girls from their local area between 2004 and 2013, got away with their disgusting crimes for as long as they did because the police, as I understand it, were worried that they would look racist if they investigated the men.
Girls as young as 12 were given alcohol and drugs and raped in rooms above takeaway shops. But despite the repeated efforts of a brave few to alert the relevant authorities, too many in positions of power were either unwilling or unable to intervene. Maggie, you've highlighted the failings of the systems. What were those failings?
The main failing, Peter, was that those at the top of the police and social services made the deliberate decision that they were not going to put resources into investigating and prosecuting these paedophiles. Now, people often say, what were the reasons for that? I think it's a real complex web of reasons, but for me, no reason is justified.
Coming back to the riots that unravelled in the UK from the 30th of July 2024 up to and including the 5th of August 2024, in view of the sentences that those convicted of riot-related offences have been getting, many are now clamouring that we have got not just two-tier policing, that is, dangerously unreliable policing, to my mind at least, but also dangerously and outrageously unreliable criminal justice, two-tier justice. The accompanying jibe, two-tier Keir, is of course a pejorative reference to Sir Keir Starmer, the UK Prime Minister under whom the riots of late July to early August 2024 unfolded.
I utterly condemn the far-right thuggery we've seen this weekend.
As Prime Minister, Mr Starmer is in a position to make the necessary improvements to the criminal justice system, which includes policing, that will make our police service a lot more reliable. But dangerously unreliable policing predates Mr Starmer's time as Prime Minister by decades, as we have seen, so we can hardly attribute its origin to the Prime Minister. So, are white people really getting harsher punishments than non-white people for the same offences? That is one objection that people have been making in response to the sentences being given to rioters. How proportionate are the sentences that those convicted of riot-related offences have so far been given? How consistent are they? These are two further questions that people have been asking in relation to the sentences that rioters are being given. Samir Ali, a 21-year-old Asian man from Leeds, was, on the 9th of August 2024, sentenced to 20 months in prison for punching 3 men outside a pub. The 3 men were part of a group of 4. 31-year-old Adnan Ghafoor, also from Leeds and also Asian, was sentenced to 18 months for punching at least 1 man from the same group on the same occasion. He got an extra 12 months on top for breaching the terms of an existing suspended sentence, which was for dangerous driving. The judge accepted that it was possible that 1 or more of the men in the group of 4 had directed racial abuse at both Ali and Ghafoor, this apparently having been the reason for the violence enacted by Ali and Ghafoor. You should understand at this point that the men who were, on the 3rd of August 2024, punched by Samir Ali and by Adnan Ghafoor were all white and had been leaving a far-right protest. Ali and Ghafoor themselves had been heading away from an anti-racism protest and were walking in a group of 17. Ali and Ghafoor were convicted of affray. The 2 men don't know each other. So far, I haven't been able to trace any white people who have been sentenced for the charge of affray, the charge for which Ali and Ghafoor have been sent to prison, relating of course to the UK riots of summer 2024. So I'm not in a position to comment on whether or not white people are getting harsher sentences than non-white people for the same offences. But people convicted of violent offences are, in a number of cases, getting the same sentence as people who did nothing physically violent. Stacey Vint got 20 months for violent disorder.
Stacey Vint was seen on video charging towards a line of riot cops with a burning wheelie bin in Middlesbrough, but she tripped and fell before making contact and was subsequently arrested.
While she attempted to cause people, the police to be exact, physical harm, she failed to do so. But she no less got the same sentence as someone who did cause people physical harm, Samir Ali. She also got 2 months more, again, than someone who did cause another physical harm, Adnan Ghafoor. One should bear in mind, however, that at the time of her offence, Vint was rioting. Strictly speaking, this isn't true of the case of Ali and Ghafoor. It's very likely that the background of the rioting played a role in Vint's own sentence. Adam Wharton and Jordan Parler each got 20 months, even though they didn't lay a finger on anyone, nor did they even attempt to do so.
Adam and Alice Wharton burgled this library, which had been torched in Walton, Liverpool. The court heard Adam has 16 previous convictions for 28 offences, including attempted robbery, thefts, assault and burglary. He was sentenced to 20 months in prison. His brother Alice received 11 months.
In the last few minutes, a 28-year-old man has been jailed for 20 months in Leeds for stirring up religious hatred online during the riots across the country over the last week.
Essentially, he was telling people on Facebook to go and attack a hotel in Leeds housing asylum seekers. He didn't actually take part in that action. We understand he was at home with an injured foot, but it was his messages online that were seen by his friends and other people they shared those posts with that were at the root of his sentencing today. Just let me read you some of the stuff he'd posted. He said, "Every man and his dog should smash expletive out of Britannia Hotel."
For inciting violence, Julie Sweeney, 53 years old and with no prior convictions, got a bit less time than both Wharton and Parler, 15 months. But this means that someone with no previous criminal record who posted on Facebook that people should, quote, blow up a mosque with the adults in it, unquote, has been given a 15-month prison sentence. Is this sentence proportionate to the offence, given the fact that it is a sentence for a first offence? I am ignorant of the sentencing code, in accordance with which judges generally set sentences. We do know, however, that the background to the offence, the rioting that is, was an aggravating factor to the offence. I believe that this is what has condemned Mrs Sweeney and others to prison time. That said, it will be interesting to see if those sent to prison will appeal their sentence and whether their appeals will be granted. So we know that Stacey Vint, who went charging with a burning wheelie bin towards a line of police officers, got 20 months for a single count of violent disorder. Meanwhile, at a riot in Sunderland, Leanne Hodgson repeatedly hurtled industrial bins at police officers. She also racially abused at least one officer, calling him a, quote, fucking black cunt, unquote. She got 30 months. Did the racial abuse that she voiced earn her 10 months more than Vint, or has she got prior convictions, or is it both? Justin Crimp got 32 months for criminal damage. He hurled rock after rock at the door of a shop during the Plymouth riots. Declan Gearan, who took part in a riot at Liverpool, got 30 months for violent disorder and for arson, arson being a form of criminal damage.
He was filmed setting a police van on fire that will cost more than £30,000 to replace. The court was told that Declan Gearan from Liverpool, sentenced to 30 months in prison for violent disorder and arson, was not a clever man and didn't know what far left or far right even meant.
Gearan commits a more serious form of criminal damage than Crimp and commits a further offence, unlike Crimp, but gets less time than Crimp. Has Crimp got previous convictions then? Aussie Kush got 10 months for kicking a police officer. Derek Drummond got 36 months for punching a police officer.
Get back! Back, mate, come on, get back, get back! Get back, mate, come on, get back, get back!
Without knowing the criminal history, if any, of these two offenders, and without knowing either the sentencing code or the sentencing guidelines, I am in no position to say to what extent these two cases show inconsistency in the sentencing element of our criminal justice system. There's a barrister who says that two-tier policing is nothing to do with racial bias towards or against any racial group. Rather, he says that it's the name of a situation where the police will fail to act on allegations during normal or everyday times, meaning, in this context, times where the country isn't rioting, but conversely will act swiftly and thoroughly in non-normal times, namely when the country is rioting.
This person actually was a former student of mine, now a practicing barrister, who had her mobile phone stolen. And because of the way phones work, they've got tracking and GPS and everything else, she knew exactly where this phone was. And so she tracked it to a location. She went back to, first of all, she went back to the coffee shop where it was stolen. I did a whole video about this, I'll link it in the description below. She went back to the coffee shop where it was stolen. They looked at the CCTV. She found out who it was that stole it, so she knew what they looked like. Obviously, she took the evidence because she wanted to report it to the police. She found her phone where it was. She went to the police and said, here's my phone, here's the person that took it, this is what they look like, this is where the phone is right now because I can track it, please help me. Police, in short, said no. Police were not willing to help. Why? Well, because the police resources are stretched, and that's to say the least, and there are thousands of mobile phone thefts, and the police just didn't have the time to deal with it. Given the normal level of policing demand and services, etc., the normal level of crime that's going on, they do pick and choose what they go to. But all of these arrests that have been made in connection with social media posts and the rioting where they've been going through CCTV footage where these idiots, I will say it, where these idiots have been throwing bricks and stuff at police, they have been tracked down from this CCTV. A lot of them, most of them have been pleading guilty, which is something I'll come back to. But in all this situation, the reason all of that's been going on is because unless they stamp out these pockets of violence and aggression and civil unrest and what should really be termed riots, which is subject for another video perhaps. But with all of that going on, unless they stamp that out, it will get worse and it will escalate. And before you know it, the entire city is going to be destroyed within all the rioting that's going on.
To me, this explanation of policing practices just reinforces that we have, in the UK, a system of dangerously unreliable policing, at least when we're not rioting, which, as you know, is most of the time. If you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.